Good evening, welcome all of you. Bande Matram. So this morning we are going to discuss a very good topic, that is on weaknesses of the human nature. That is, in many ways, it is related to our sadhana. So we are going to know the basics of sadhana, where our weakness really lies. So the topic of discussion for this evening will be the weaknesses of the human nature. That is what couple of points we are going to discuss. How these weaknesses are being emerged from our nature, and how it is affecting us in the process while we are pursuing the sadhana, and how really it affects, it hurts, and of course how it will actually it perverts or distorts our progress. That is the topic of discussion. Everyone must know clearly in their own way. So there is very interestingly, Mother and Sri Aurobindo has displayed the real paths, real truths have been very much prominently and clearly displayed by Mother and Master. So we are going to discuss them one after another. Initially it comes fear. So we know fear is a bad advisor. Already we know, and we know faith and yoga and fear, they can't go together. In English normal proverb we have no faith and faith and fear can't go together. Here also Mother quotes beautifully, in yoga and fear that can't coexist, that can't go together. Again, Mother quotes, fear is a bad advisor. Fear is a bad advisor. That is what Mother quotes beautifully. Again, we are going to discuss something from Sri Aurobindo on fear. Sri Aurobindo quotes, fear and anxiety are perverse forms of the will. Two terms, two very important things Sri Aurobindo tries to quote: fear and anxiety are perverse forms of the wills. Again, from fear and hope, take refuge in the grandiose, calm, and careless mastery of the spirit. So these are the requirement: fear and hope. From fear and hope, take refuge in the grandiose, calm, and careless mastery of the spirit. That is the basic requirement of the time and it is most essential for the sadhaka. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes nicely, dread shows a weakness. Shows a weakness, that is naturally a weakness, it is displayed. We must be very much careful. Fear attracts the object of fear. Suppose we are fearful, we have some dreadness inside us. Suppose we fear for something, naturally we will be anxious to get attracted to the things of fear. Suppose I fear something, so I want to get rid of that one. Instead of going for the Divine Mother or going for Divine Grace, we rely more on the very hostile or antagonist powers, some gundas or something like this. They will come, and political leaders, irregular and of course irrelevant elements, so that they create and they accelerate, and of course they elevate our trouble in different ways, in many ways. So fear attracts the objects of fear. Then of course the true spirit can stand fearless before the biggest force of nature. Even if the biggest force of nature is coming, and it is coming at the resistance for us, but actually if there is true spirit, if we know, identified, of course we take shelter under the true spirit, it can stand fearless before the even the biggest force of the nature. And again, not to to fear God really is to remove ourselves to a distance from Him. To fear God, not to fear God, because He is our friend, philosopher, guide. He is our parents. He is everything, Guru, everything. So to fear God really is to remove oneself to a distance from Him. We are removing ourselves from the God, but God is constantly among us. But to fear Him in play gives an edge of the utter delightedness. So if we play with Him, that will bring delight. And if we fear for Him and keeps ourselves away, that is actually miserable for us. Again, we are going for the very next point of discussion of the human weaknesses of human nature. It indicates our path. Naturally, mother Sri Aurobindo has quoted, you may find thyself in the anguish, gods will be indifferent, demons will be furious on the way. Against your mother your course. So you must have definitely courage and fearless courage you must have to proceed in the path of sadhana. And so without this fearless and all, naturally, if we have got some narrowness, some weakness, and of course suppose some narrow motives and attitude, it will affect us in many ways. So again, mother course, you must have the unsacred, you must have a definitely big courage and perfect sincerity, entire self giving. So these are the things required, and of course you have to show. And with the lower forces, you will never make any compromise. Definitely you will not desire for the lower nature and the lower satisfaction. So to stay protected, there must be a courage and aspiration, and of course there is a fearlessness in you. Suppose you are coming and making any agreement and every some sort of arrangement, some sort of compromise, then it is creating some disaster. Then mother quotes beautifully, actually you have to be very much active, very much actually elevated. So the road is open before you, and there is actually the disease will come on the way, try to throw it out, and just you try to descend the divine peace among you, then everything will be all right. So for this you have to be one thing, you have to be there. Naturally you have to be very active, very much actually jagrata avastha, that jagruti must be there. And the road is open, there is no doubt of it. So this aversion, what is actually this illness, weakness and all, just throw it away. Never fear at all. Everything, without nothing is done without the divine will. That idea must be culminated in us, cultivated. This idea must be cultivated us in us, and only the divine presence is there. Actually, anything that is creating fear among us, that is actually foolish, that it has got no value. It is in disguise, the hostile forces are coming, we must be cautious. Then mother quotes, only when you are completely liberated from the fear, then only you will find your violence, the attitude of violence, that will be eliminated. So fear causes, fear brings the violence, the attitude of violence in you. Again, we are going to the next point, that is actually suspicion. Many times we suspect, we doubt. And of course, Sri Aurobindo has quoted beautifully on doubt. Many times we are under the influence of the doubt, we are suspicious. Of course, we doubt in many ways. Sri Aurobindo quotes, doubt exists for its own sake. Doubt exists for its own sake. Doubt can't be convinced because it is very nature, it does not want to be convinced. That is the major problem with it. Doubt exists for its own sake. It can't be convinced because in its very nature, in its very nature, it does not want to be convinced. When doubt assails, some doubt comes, it assails us, it attacks us. And that time, what our objective will do, what we will stand by and wait for it to pass. That is what. Stand by, you just stand calmly, wait till it is passing. There is a truth behind the mental doubter, the truth of the denial of the false forms. So that must be taken care of, and we must know. So Mother quotes beautifully. You must have to resolve to get liberated from all sorts of doubts. And see, many ways, in many formats, in many forms, in many names, our this actually among the enemies, along with the enemies, this doubt actually stands before us. Again, we are going to for the next step. Next step, that is actually point. That point actually is depression. Many times, mother says, "For the God sake, don't get disturbed, depressed." So depression is another way it is coming, and actually it is halting our progress. It is disturbing. It is actually making us taking us away from the true path. So, one question was put to the mother: how shall we get rid of this axle of depression? That question: how can we protect ourselves from this depression, from the attack of depression? What is the point of how can we get protected? Mother course, don't pay attention to the depression. Just you don't admit its presence. You just simply do your work and it will go. When it will feel, this depression will feel that I have no place, then it will automatically it will get eliminated. So it is never coming. It is not actually the point to be argued. It is beyond argument. So you do one thing. It never guide you in a perfect manner. So thing is that it is the subtle, most subtler enemy of so far this yoga is concerned. So naturally, whenever there is a depression or something like a depression, or there is a revolt, don't give any false reaction. You just simply make your resolution, stand on the way, keep calm, don't pay attention. That is what the thing mother advises to do it. And of course, Sri Aurobindo has quoted interestingly on depression. Beautifully, Sri Aurobindo has quoted how to get rid of depression and what is the real problem with the depression. Mother Sri Aurobindo quotes: depression opens the way for the to the attack of the wrong forces. So many wrong forces are there, and they are ready to attack at any moment, because where there is divinity, there is stupidity. So many times we feel so far when we are moving in the path of the sadhana, there is a subtler attack, and the depression opens the way to the attack of the wrong forces again. So, as we have seen, suppose this is sun rays are coming from the top, and it should reach the earth in a very amicable manner, and we will see the clear light. But suppose inside between this sun and earth there is a thick layer of cloud. Naturally this sun ray can never rush inside. So like this, depression is a clouded gray state in its nature, and it is more difficult for light to come through clouds and grayness and then through a clear atmosphere. If the atmosphere is clear, then naturally this sunlight will touch the earth without any resistance, without any problem. But if there is cloud and dense cloud, it is difficult for the sun ray to approach the ground. Like this, depression is playing the role of a thick cloud. Again, the here in the course, depression obstructs the inner light. So we are finding the outer light every time we feel sunlight, we see moonlight, we see light from stars, even electric light, solar light, any many ways we find, but actually some inner light is there. If there is the depression, it actually obstructs the inner light. Actually, Mother Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully. That is a best example, and of course, best way Sri Aurobindo tries to explain and advise us. To yield to the depression when some things go wrong is the worst way of meeting the difficulty. If you yield to this depression, that is, of course, the worst way of meeting the difficulty. Again, we are going to see some pain, suffering like this. Sri Aurobindo quotes, it has got its value. Suffering, so far, as long as the ignorance is there, suffering must come. So with ignorance it is attached. Ignorance creates all these things. Pain has got its value because we know pain is the first born of the inconscience. From the inconscience, the first thing born, that is pain. This pain is our body's which is the body's DOM original base. So this body is based on pain, which is based and formed and emerged from the inconscience. Indirectly, this body is formed out of the inconscience, and naturally it has to suffer. And mother quotes here beautifully: this world is filled with pain and suffering. So already it is packed. So don't try to allow, or don't try to seek, or don't try desire any more suffering and pain for thy life. It will be very much actually hilarious, and it is most difficult for you. Then mother quotes, it is my advice for you, you don't try to host pain and suffering. Some then you will find pain and suffering will completely get eliminated from you, it will go away from you. You just try to, don't think that the pain and suffering are inevitable and needful for this progress. But the thing is that you have to be great, you have to be calm and quiet, and the equanimity must be there for this great progress. Another way we are going to another discuss the next point is our laziness, tiredness, of course, this pain, equanimity, like this. Mother quotes this laziness, it is a dangerous disease. Again, mother quotes this avasannata, this depression and this laziness, this point of actually breaking down. So it is actually definitely it opposes the progress of the sadhana. So when there is, you feel tired, you feel depressed, naturally you feel there is no will or lack of will, or there is actually resisting will inside you. You are not in a position of actually, you are not actually eliminating the these things, rather you are submitting to this. Again, the point of discussion is desire. We know Sri Aurobindo has quoted, desire was the helper, desire is the bar. Desire has got its value, no doubt of it. It is like something like a false roof we are creating before the original roof is created. But after the original one is created, nobody will be interested to keep the false roof for the last long time. So like it is actually broken down or dissolved. Like this, ego stands. It is the perverse reflection of the Jivatma. Mother quotes, so our inner being must this just imagine we have got our inner being. So when we get in touch with the inner being in a very conscious way, then actually we feel very much interested, and our being gets capable, and of course this desire goes. We know desire is the sole cause of suffering as per the Buddhist principle. But instead of desire, there must be a single-minded aspiration towards the divine. Desire is actually, it hurts, it troubles. But thing is that there must be a single-minded aspiration towards the divine. Then Mother quotes, don't expect any happiness from this material life. Then actually you must not get tagged to this material pleasure and all. There must be actually, you must try to come out of it. Then whatever is truly needed for you, that must be given. We have got our right to pray, and we can keep our demands before the divine, but actually divine will pack up and fill up our demands, all our demands. It is next to impossible. But whatever is required, so far this path and track is concerned, everything must be available to us. When there is some need, you need something, and if it is truly needed, then you must pray, you must pray to the divine. But the thing is that all sincere prayers are granted, each call is answered. But if we are going for the wrong prayer, so God is not bound to fulfill it. So we are going to know what really this desire, where it really stands for. We know desire, Sri Aurobindo quotes very interestingly, desire was the helper, desire is the bar. In place of the desire, there must be a single-minded aspiration towards the divine. The soul of desire is a separated soul of ego. So this desire, it creates the separatist movement, and it helps the ego. And all these instincts are the separative self-affirmation. So these are creating this desire. Almost it is having the tendency of separatist egoistic attitude. Again, we see that greed. Sometimes we feel lobha, lumoha, mohor, smriti nasara, buddhi bangsa, and then buddhi bangsaru, death. So lobha, this greed is the very much cause of the death. It is like a slow poison. We don't know. So immediately, mother courts through this alluring to this greed. Whatever the minimum, basic minimum pleasure we are getting, then actually it feels, it thinks, and it is very much clear that actually you are not progressing, rather there is a retrogression. As much as you are getting satisfied with the small desire fulfillment, with the fulfillment your greed and all, it is on another way you are getting back retrogressing on the way. So when you desire mother course, so then actually you get maintained, you get moved, you get actually moved by the things we are not, which is not at all essentially helpful to us. Our mind and life are being captured by these unwanted elements. So you become a slave to them. Naturally, sometimes food, sometimes other desires and all. Food is necessary, but thing is that what we do, we should live for it. We should eat for living, but instead of we do the contrary thing. Means we live only for eating. That must not be encouraged. Again, how to bring victory over the desires. Kamanara vinasi dukkara vinas. You know, Buddhism, desire is the sole cause of suffering. And mother quotes, when sometimes we feel glad when we fulfill our desires. When it is fulfilled, naturally we get some pleasure and we feel something like victorious. But mother quotes, if it is suppressed, not suppressed, it is actually won over. If you win over these desires, you will get a greater pleasure. So whenever you are ascending beyond these small attitudes, when you rise up to the higher consciousness, naturally this desire and all, everything will be surmounted, and you will win over them. And winning over these things, it brings a greater pleasure for you. And moreover, mother quotes the thing, the work which actually takes and leads you away from the divine, that must be thrown over, and you must get rid of that one. Then sometimes mother comes, definitely the victory over the desire, it brings a greater pleasure than satisfying the pleasure. So self control is a great victory. So here, with the self control and with this victory, there is actually tolerable ananda is hidden in it. Then comes our ego. Once we have already discussed, ego was the helper and ego is the bar. So sometimes ego was the lord upon its because seat. Falsehood said by him is mate and queen. With this ego, it is actually, it is like a poison. It is poisoning us. Actually, it is totally obstructing our progress. Ego, whatever actually it attempts to get, but actually but never achieves. Only it thinks of and concentrates only on that one, and it is busy with all the time. It is busy with what actually it decides and what it has not found. So it has got its limited value. Naturally, whatever is going to happening, so everything is due to the divine will, and it is very much true so far this sadhana and sadhaka are concerned. Again comes the point, that is quarrel. Many times why we quarrel, mother quotes, when there is a quarrel, both are at wrong. Again, mother quotes, don't quarrel, don't take anybody's side, or don't come for your personal vision, because quarrel is a quarrel and it is in no way helpful. So if you are expressing anger from you for anybody or for others fault or on others problem, then actually so you must, before reacting, you must try to be conscious, because it is like it is never helpful in life. Again, so sometimes for our mistakes we repent. Sometimes we try to rectify. And to rectifying, we must identify where the mistakes are, and the best way is to meet the difficulty and to get to rectify them, and anyway we will try to better at every moment. That is what the required condition. So many times definitely you will try to, somebody is actually commenting, there is comments are there, somebody is there, some way there insults are there, so naturally you will stay beyond these things. And finally comes this narrowness and partiality. These are the things, mother course. The major obstacle for a progressive soul and a progressive union is to do one thing, understand and take the thing. You must have that anxiety. You must be very much interested to know what is right and what is wrong. So you know, pain comes when you are actually in mother course, when you are in an unconscious state. Mother here in the course, no, God has not made anybody wicked, but man is has been wicked by turning away. One is wicked by turning away from the God. So you have to do, and what we have to do, you have to elevate your consciousness, you have to widen your consciousness, and you think for the satisfaction of your soul, not the satisfaction of your mind and life and the body. So here goes, don't try to please yourself, don't try to please others, try to please only the divine. So these are the things, these are really the weaknesses of the human nature. And without actually eliminating the human nature, without getting victory over these obstacles, it is very difficult to progress in the path of sadhana. Thank you, Vande Mataram.